beautiful souls, foodie souls out there. Welcome to the first episode of A Foodie's World, where we are going to talk about food as the catalyst of connection in our daily lives. Today, we are going to hop right into it with our guest, who is a friend, an amazing human being. We have a lot to share with you guys in the opening podcast. Food is a catalyst in every way we look at it. It's a connection to and with everything we do and feel and whatever we're doing. See, so I'm your host, Chef Anmar, and seeing as this is the first podcast, I'm just going to kind of introduce myself today. Okay, I'm what you call a Boer Afrikaans girl, born and raised in the winelands of South Africa, and I've been traveling and working for years across the world. I've put a lot of hats on my head. I have been a teacher, psychologist, nanny, professional skydiver, and now I am a chef. I love being a chef. It's always been something that I wanted to do, and I would like to share myself and everything with the world out there. Okay, my purpose of this is to start a podcast where we're going to be talking about all these connections. The catalyst for connection is a journey in everyday life that I would like to just put out there. So welcome. I'm here today breaking it down with my friend, Dr. Laura. She is a plastic surgeon, a foodie, and just an epic woman that I would like to have on my show. So I asked her to be my first guest, and I'm looking forward to sharing her with the world. So let's meet Dr. Laura. Welcome, Laura, and please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, thank you for that very kind introduction. It's seriously an honor to be your, maiden guest on this maiden voyage. You have so much to offer. As a friend, I know that your knowledge base about the world, about all kinds of aspects of life, and especially food and how they all connect together, is vast. And it will be really nice for you to be able to share that and tease it out in different areas with different people along the way. My background is basically, I started on a journey to become a plastic surgeon after I had a car accident when I was just finished graduating high school. I actually planned to go to college to do business, but after my experience with a plastic surgeon, I thought it was so transformative physically, psychologically, and I just thought I wanted to be able to do what he did for me just one time. I thought it would be worth all the hours because it made such an impact on me. He gave me my life back, or helped to build my confidence back. My face got kind of mangled a little bit, and he put me back together. And so the journey began, and I've never looked back. I've, had a pathway filled with passion. And I think when you lead with passion, you're never wrong. Most of the most successful people out there with ideas, when you ask them why they did it, it's because of passion. And you look at Anmar, why is she doing food? Passion. So I'm sure she'll be successful. So I completed my plastic surgery training, and I've been working. And the cool thing is I work at Kaiser Permanente, and it's allowed me to kind of use all my skills as a plastic surgeon. Plastic surgery is not just cosmetic, and I do all the reconstructive, which is like the other 80%. And so I've been able to work with kids, with trauma victims, with cancer victims, lumps and bumps, and transgender population, just really changing lives and hopefully improving lives. And it's actually very rewarding. So that's kind of been my journey. I'm kind of getting towards the end of my journey. And so this is kind of another fun avenue. And having Anmar in my life, she always opens me up to other new ideas and foods and experiences.
Well, thank you. That's a lovely way of putting me in the spotlight here. You are a beautiful human being. So I know we've had a food journey together, you and me. You've been there from day number one since I decided I am going to take on this studying for a French trained chef at Auguste Escoffier Culinary School. And you've walked the path with me from day number one. I mean, you were my test subject so many times when I was
Oh,
practicing
darn.
to become a
Oh,
chef.
oh, darn. Oh yeah, it's been such a well, it started when we get like little girls' evenings, or we get together and maybe have a vegan night, or you would share some of your South African cuisine with us, babuti, or sharing the flavors. And that's one thing that I love when I travel is, what are the flavors of this culture? I love going into the grocery store when I travel, looking for the specific herbs or just the different types of products that they use that are the mainstay. And you've done that, through your cooking. And then when you said you were going to go through culinary school, I wasn't surprised. I just didn't realize it was such a passion. I too have always enjoyed cooking, and I know we've cooked together, maybe mine more on the baking side, but it's fun listening and sharing and hearing your enthusiasm each week when you would be talking about what you were doing, what you were learning, be it knife skills or the different foods, or that when you kind of started doing foods from around the world and inviting us around to help be your test people. That was really quite a treat. It's like have a friend that's becoming a chef and you'll eat well. And you're fantastic at what you do. And the interesting thing is, I remember having a pizza night at my house, which is always fun. It's a great way to, speaking of connection, that's probably one of my favorite ways to connect with friends is, through pizza making. And since I've gotten a pizza oven, there's all kinds of, I like to offer all kinds of different toppings, and then everybody gets to artistically express themselves, through taste and through art. And then you get to share. And every time, Anmar, your pizza is always it's not what people expect. It's different flavors coming together and it works, and it's always the favorite. And so you've got a knack for flavor and, bringing things together, connecting food together that maybe we wouldn't normally think about flavors. And then, obviously the food and the experience connects everybody together. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey, and it doesn't surprise me that you finished top in your class and have gone on. And right away, I was so impressed that you were already within the first month booking events. And I actually got to experience Anmar as a fine dining chef. I was having a celebration for one of our beloved employees that was retiring, and she put together a menu of my friend. She loves French cuisine, and she put together a beautiful menu, and we had a beautiful sit down dining experience at my home to celebrate her retirement, and it just was flawless. And I sometimes look at the daunting adventures that you have ahead of you cooking, and you'll tell me what you're cooking, how many courses for how many people, and I would much rather be in an 18-hour long case. It just sounds so stressful, but you seem to pull it off flawlessly and unflustered, and I'm just always amazed by that.
Well, thank you again. You make me feel really good on this side.
It's
Well,
easy.
it's a
You know
friend
what? It's easy. It's good. It's easy to talk about it. You know what I mean? And of course, we have a friendship, but there's, you're good at what you do. I don't lie very easily, so it's like easy to talk about, in a positive sense.
Well, thank you. So I know we're here today. I kind of wanted you to come and share your views on being a physician and food. The world of food and all the connection that we're talking about, these catalysts and in the connection of food is very diverse. So we talked about it a little bit, and I decided we decided talking about nutrition and the balance and healing is such great points to talk about food and the medical world. So, would you like to just talk to us about all those facets and explain your view and as from your medical physician, background on how do you see food?
Yeah, no, sure. It's probably more my views, some of them are my personal views, some of them are backed with, medical science. But on a day-to-day basis, nutrition, obesity, um, I think about it every day in my practice. I have a lot of patients that come that may want elective surgery, perhaps a breast reduction or some sort of procedure that is elective. It needs to be done when it's safest. And maybe their BMI is a little high. And I'll counsel them on weight loss because when someone's BMI is over 30, there are studies that show there's a 12 to 15-fold increased risk of having complications, be it wound infection, wound healing issues, heart attack, stroke. It's really about the safety and wanting the best outcome for the patient and their health. So we do a lot of counseling. There are operations that we need to do urgently, cancer. So BMI doesn't come into play. We may talk about it and say, hey, you're going to have a higher risk, but obviously we need to do this more urgently. But when we don't have to do things urgently, emergently, it is worth having that conversation and helping patients to understand and take responsibility for their own health. And we are, working for Kaiser, we have a lot of different options for patients and, trying to lose weight. So BMI, I think, is a huge factor when I'm thinking about operating on someone, just because the increased risk for what we call morbidity. And then the other thing would be making sure a patient has adequate nutrition and protein levels. So there's some lab values we can look at to ensure that someone is nutritionally sound so that they can heal. Protein is probably the most important thing when you're healing. I mean, you need calories, but if you have an open wound, it's leaking protein. So that balance is very important. And I can see someone who walks in my office and looks really healthy just by what we would deem healthy in everyday life, but maybe they're nutritionally not sound because all they're eating is a bunch of carbohydrates. So it is important to, assess someone's nutritional level and make sure that they are aware. I mean, I've had patients who aren't healing well, and I'll, once again, reiterate the importance of protein. Then they'll admit, like, yeah, I haven't been eating enough protein. And so we might have to add protein shakes or protein powder in order to help with healing. So those are probably a lot of the discussions when it comes to food. It has to do with healing and BMI and safety and health and morbidity. And, in that regard, I have that kind of conversation maybe daily, maybe weekly, for sure weekly in my office. And I think it's important. Some people don't want to hear it, but the bottom line is, nutrition is important. We all have to eat, but I think there's moderation is also, or looking out for your own health is really important as well.
Yeah. So if you had to balance food, nutrition and medical, how do you define the balance, finding that good balance between nutrition and being healthy? And we all different. We
Yeah,
all,
yeah,
we
yeah.
also need nutrition and how different people are a vegan, and I've met vegans that are obese because all they eat is French fries and all the things that they're not supposed to eat. So where's that balance? How do we find that balance in your opinion?
I don't, that's a good question, because I think the balance is about feeding your body and taking care of your body. That's the most important thing. Um, and but there's also a psychology of you've got to be happy. If you abstain from things you really want, you're going to want them more. So I kind of I try to look at an 80-20. I like the 80-20 rule where 80% of the time I'm eating pretty healthy. And if you ask my friends, they'll be like, yeah, I'm pretty healthy eater, but 20% of the time I'm not. I'm gonna have that, pizza or that extra slice or the cake. And it helps to balance my psychology, but I'm also meeting my nutritional needs. And everybody's body is different because I often have patients ask me, what do I do? And I'll just share, like, look, this is what I do, but what works for me may not work for you. I think it's important to eat, in a perfect world, high protein, low fat, low carb. If I could, that would work for me very well. I think protein keeps you satiated longer, so that's actually a good way to start your day. Doesn't mean that's what I do every day, but when I do, I feel really good. You want to feel good when you eat. And so if there are certain foods you're eating that don't make you feel good, avoid them. But everybody, whatever the balance is, some people work better with a caveman diet or paleo, or some people Mediterranean, I think you have to find what works for you. And that, you can work with a nutritionist. But the bottom line too is you want to couple that eating with exercise, and you don't want to do the same thing all the time because your body remembers, and I think you want to, for me, when eating and exercise, I like to change it up. And a good friend of mine, Dr. Mike Marino, he wrote a book, The 17-Day Diet. And in there, he talks about changing it up with your food and your diet, because if you eat the same thing all the time, every day, your body gets used to it. You got to kind of confuse it. And so I think that does work. And I like that idea. I do it when I work out, because if you do the same thing every day, your body doesn't build. And I think it's important to, build muscle and do weight training as well, because the muscle has the mitochondria in it, and the mitochondria are the little energy factors that help to burn the calories. So when I'm talking to someone about weight loss or whatever, it's not just food adjustment and what they're eating, but it's also about exercising. And sometimes they have to eat more to get their metabolic rate up, and also build muscle to get, more muscle that has the mitochondria, which are the little factories that burn energy. So I think it's multifactorial.
And it depends from person to person. Everybody's different, and what works for you doesn't work for me, and vice versa. So I think we need to find the right program. But I also feel like dieting is not always the option. Just living healthy, natural, clean life, eating healthy, exercising regularly.
Yeah,
It's a lifestyle. It's not like going on quick diets and stuff like that. Living healthy is a way of living.
I think, sometimes, there are some plans to, like, I don't like diet either. I think it's more of a lifestyle. I mean, I made a lifestyle change years ago because I think a lot of family members are heavy. And I said, I'm not going to be like that. And so I made some lifestyle changes years ago. Diet sodas, I'm not saying that's healthy, but it's, taking away the sugar. I won't put butter on the bread always, but I will eat French fries. So I choose my fats. It's not that I don't eat fat, but I choose my fats. I'll choose my carbs. I'd rather, chew my carbs in the sense of candy versus drinking my carbs in the sense of juice. Unless it's wine, of course, then I'll drink my little wine is important. You gotta, balance things out, because there's also the mental health aspect of it. And,
Well, we only live once. I want to enjoy life, and
exactly.
I don't want to be on. I know most people is like that. It's like we don't want to be eating salad morning, noon, and night, and not drink a glass of wine because all we think about is the way we look. So, and I mean, I have that problem too. We talk about it. It's like we're all different, and we all just need to find what works for us health wise and food wise to make us put us in a good position, and that just takes time.
Yeah. Yeah. And even like salads, I remember my brother, he was trying to lose weight, and he would talk about, well, I only had salad today, but if you looked at his salad, the the lettuce was a conduit for all kinds of layers of cheese and bacon and fat. And I was like, you might as well have just had a tortilla made in a burrito. It's not salad. It can be healthy, but it can also be, not the best choice if you're going to put a bunch of heavy, creamy dressings. Not that it doesn't taste good, but when you put all that stuff, you might as well just have a steak and fries. But
True. I mean,
but
it makes me laugh when people say they're going to eat a Caesar salad for a diet. And I'm like, Caesar salad is so many calories that it makes you laugh. And it's
yeah,
like,
I
oh,
always
okay.
yeah, it's just kind of funny. I mean, food is always kind of something fun to look at um and look at the nutrition, but I think a lot of people just need to educate themselves on, what works for them, what types of foods work for them, what they like. I mean, I didn't like avocado up until about a year ago, and now I crave avocado toast. It is one of my absolute favorite things. It's so even as we get older, things that you didn't like, you can like. And I always find that fascinating. I don't know if I willed myself into liking it because I know it's healthy, but I do now.
Well, I love your avocado toast as well, as you know. She makes
Yeah.
really good avocado toast. Just so you know, if you ever go to her house,
It's
avocado
always
toast. Well, so I know that you guys talk a lot about inflammation and foods, and being a physician, especially as a surgeon, it's really important for you aftercare how people eat, because inflammation is a big role in getting somebody healthy. And if you're eating inflammatory foods, does it make or put you behind a little bit? I don't say you're never going to heal, but does it help to kind of look at eating non-inflammatory foods?
I think it doesn't hurt. I definitely have had the conversation with several patients about low inflammation diet, more so when they have systemic or all over body issues, like maybe autoimmune issues, they're having achy joints. I definitely think it can help there. Perhaps someone who heals with what we call hypertrophic scars or overhealing, that's a sign of inflammation. So perhaps, if they were to go on some sort of plant-based diet with lower inflammatory um, uh, diet, that maybe that would help. I definitely think inflammation comes from foods, it comes from stress, environment, and I do think it's the root of a lot of evil. So the more we can eat healthier, low inflammatory foods, lower our stress. I think inflammation leads to poor healing. I think it leads to cancers. It's inflammation is not good. You know, I mean, it's a step in the wound healing process, but when you're overly inflamed, you're not going to heal right. So I think it would help. In a perfect world, yeah, probably plant-based diet, but I think you need some meat in there too, a little bit, for all the right amino acids. But yeah,
Well, there's a lot of studies coming out that saying vegan food is, or veganism is the way to go these days, and that plant-based food is gives you everything you need. Um, but again, it's like olive oil. They say olive oil is absolutely amazing for about a year, and then suddenly, avocado oil is the most amazing thing. So is
it's
it?
food, I've seen food trends, and fat. It's like fashion. I have to say, I still ascribe, it's really weird, but I think I, grew up in the 70s and I grew up with the four food groups. And sometimes at the end of the day, or often at the end of the day, I tend to eat a pretty heavy carb laden diet just because it's quick. I'm not saying it's good, but it seems to work for me. But I'll think if I'm not feeling great, I'll think, oh, did I have something from all my four food groups, which when I grew up was your milk group, your bread group, your veggies, fruits and veggies, and then your meats. And I'll think, where am I out of balance? And if I'm out of balance in the fruit and vegetables, then I'll make sure when I get home I have a salad. So I know nutritionists have gone away from the four food groups, but unfortunately it was ingrained in me. And it is a way for me to kind of check myself and see what my balance is personally. And it works for me.
I know it works for you. You guys should see what she looks like. Laura, now just to go there, I have a question for you. Just kind of gonna throw it out of there. So I want to know, if you were a food-based superhero, what kind of food group would you be and what would be your power? I know I'm throwing it out there, but come on, we need to have some fun here as well.
Food based, like any food.
Yeah, any food or drink or whatever, just what
I
would you be? A food-based super.
I I think the only thing I can think of is I'd be the food group would be French fries, only because I absolutely love them. All kinds, curly, waffle, seasoned steak, skin on, skin off. I don't know. French fries are amazing and they make everybody happy. It's hard to find a person that doesn't like French fries. So just for the sake of, if French fries could, create the nutrition you need without making you overweight and then making people happy, that would be amazing. What about you? What would be yours?
I think, well, all right. I think I would be a grape.
Oh, I could step on you and you and let out a little wine.
Yeah, I would like to change water into wine. We all love wine. Well, even I do. I don't know about the other people out there. I know there's a lot of people that don't drink, but they would maybe prefer the water. But I think
My French fries and your wine would make people very happy. It would be a good, as long as it was super
you'll have
healthy.
a little French fry costume on, and I'll be my little grape costume, and we can attack people to, as our food-based superheroes. Maybe
Bringing happiness to the world. Yes. In
every
moderation. Everything in moderation, right?
yeah, everything in moderation, but having fun at it at the same time. So, um, if you, I know you like eating at restaurants and eating out. I mean, I go with you a lot, and we love eating at really good places. Um, but in the culinary world, I know you enjoy the culinary world and you are a foodie. And that's one of the reasons why I brought you on here, not just being an amazing physician, but you're also a really good cook and you are a foodie. Um, what do you think the people and the culinary world can improve on? It's like we go out and we eat out, and I want to know what you think.
Um, I would say food is pleasure, food is nutrition. Like, first of all, I look at food. I mean, I'm a foodie, but I look at food first as an energy source. Like, I need to feed my body, because sometimes you might see some of the stuff I eat and it's because I need quick nutrition. I'm going to the OR, or especially when I was a resident. Oh my goodness. It was just a matter of, an energy bar or something to get something in. So, there I wasn't being very discriminatory. I just needed calories to keep me going. But in my more advanced years, if I'm going to go out to a restaurant for an experience, I love trying different flavors and trying different experiences. And so I think the one thing that could use some help is, if a place has a really nice view, sometimes the food isn't so good. So I want it all to match. I don't want to just pay for the view, but I also want to try other. I like it when a restaurant brings different flavors and different cultures together, kind of like a movie. I want to be transported and I want to experience things that I may not otherwise get to experience, like different areas. And, from, bringing that cultural into a 2-hour experience, somehow getting something out of it that isn't just about the food, but it's about the whole culture. I like that. That actually, more of that would be good.
I agree with you on that one. All right, so we have very few minutes left, but I want to ask you one more last question. I want to know from you, what was or has been one of your worst cooking failures you've experienced?
Oh my gosh. That's let me think. There have been a few. I like to try new recipes when people come over. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But my first failure that I can remember was actually early on. I decided I always liked cooking. I would cook with my mom. It was something to share with her. My mom was a fantastic cook, but I wanted to make dinner for the family all by myself. I think it was about 8. And I did a meatloaf and maybe some sort of vegetable. And I made Jello with fruit. And I don't know if I had too much water in it, but the Jello didn't set. And something very basic like Jello, which should be pretty easy to make, it didn't turn out. And for years, I mean, even now, if you ask my brother, you know, he would still laugh and say, "Oh, she can't even make Jello." Now, of course, he's had many of my meals since then, and he knows I can cook. But it was kind of funny that it was always something that I thought of like, "Oh, I can't even make Jello."
Well,
Yeah, that was a
you drink
failure.
Jello. At least you could drink it. At least you could
Yeah,
drink it. Well, okay. Laura, thank you so much for joining our podcast today. I hope you enjoyed this journey that you and I'm starting together at a Foodie's World, um, being my first guest. And I hope in future to have you back on here so we can discuss how the journey has gone, you know. If you listen to my podcast, that's to say, you better. You're my friend.
I'll be, yep, definitely. We'll
Well,
have some more food journeys to discuss.
a lot of food journeys coming in the future. I hope so. So please look me up at www.foodiescateringco.com if you want to learn a little bit more and see what I look like, you know. Maybe I'll even ask Laura to throw in a picture there so you guys can see what she looks like in the future. All jokes aside, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're very,
It was really lovely having you here.
thank you. It was an honor, seriously, to be your friend, to eat your food, and to be your first guest. And I look forward to listening to your future podcast. Thanks again.
Thank you so much.